future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics in music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Online dating. I met this girl online. Online dating. I met this girl online. Clicked and fell into this date from here.
Yates' show. Just in case your eyes are tricking you sometime during the day or night, this is not a trick. It actually is me. Hey, look, I'm glad to be back here. Oh, that online dating, as most of you know, I'm playing the guitar. That's my first blues project out there. And the reason I'm starting off by explaining that theme song that you're hearing, the Living Blues magazine just did a whole big old write-up on your boy. And because my song titles and stories blues is very, very old, but my subjects are very modern, talking about online dating and pocket call, and saw it on Facebook. And you guys know where to find me on Facebook, then you can get me on YouTube and all of that stuff. So, and having said that, last week we did a wonderful musical just having a musical month, just kind of talking about the serious stuff, but having a little fun because, the thing about it right now, people are really, really, really stressed out. And so many of us are just, we're biting our nails and toes and pulling our hair out and stuff. So and that's across the board. There's so much anxiety out there. And especially when we have this. I truly think he's an illegitimate president. I just do. I just think that if this was an African American male that had gotten into office under these kind of strange conditions with Russia and the whole bit, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You have him in jail, or police abuse or whatever. But you would not be congratulating a man that is clearly unstable. And I really don't understand it because I talk to many of my friends, and I have conservative ways, and many of us have conservative ways. I'm not a complete left-wing liberal, and I'm not a right-wing conservative. But there are things that I think we can come together and agree upon. We, as what is considered conservative ways, I want my kids and grandkids to get an education. I want them to be independent. I don't want them to have to depend on a system. I want my kids, my grandkids, my family member, and pretty much anybody on the freaking planet to have the freedom to move about this wonderful, beautiful planet that we have been so blessed or lucky or the universe has smiled upon us to inherit it, this beautiful planet, and to see it being destroyed and fought over and I think this is a lot of what we don't really put into the equation is that people, this is not a battle just over your state. These people are not just fighting over the company that is in your backyard that is giving you a job. There is a battle for who owns the planet. Oh, I'm from Mississippi. I can butcher up some stuff now. But this is a fight over the planet. And everybody just taking this so lightly that these people really, really and truly are trying to control the planet Earth. And in the process, they're destroying it as we know it. Now, I don't think we're going to have the power to completely destroy the planet. I think we have the power to destroy life as we know it. And I think that is where the fear that's where the energy should be focusing. Are we going to let these people destroy life as we know it? You have a man that is already talking about dropping a nuclear bomb. This man has already dropped the worst bomb, second to a nuclear bomb in Afghanistan over a couple of days ago. These people are just going war mad. They're mad. But is this the wag the dog thing? Hey, does Trump own stock in some of the bomb making machines? Think about it. Go and check. Do some research. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just asking some questions. But I think it's very suspicious here that this man hasn't been in office but less than 100 days. No one has attacked us, but he's ready to go and attack everybody else. And I want to caution you guys out there when American media tell you how crazy Kim Jong-un is and Ping Pong Jung. Every time this media tells us that somebody's a bad guy, we all get, oh, yeah. Oh, go get him. Oh, you got to destroy him. I haven't seen not one evidence of anything that Kim Jong-un has done. And I was talking to someone a few minutes ago. They said, well, he killed his brother-in-law. If that's the worst thing, don't get me wrong, murder is murder. If that's the worst thing that you can say a nation has done, I have you to turn around and look at me and what the police department has been doing to my people here in America. Guess what? They're not wearing. And then everybody down, my police friends, you guys know I am pro-policeman. You know that. I visit you and I do it from my heart. But the fact of the matter is the American wants to go out and bomb everybody else because Kim Jong-un supposedly had killed a brother or uncle, nephew. I don't know. But here it is. I don't see you running up here trying to stop the police department from killing black people right here in America, right here. And then you talk about these promises dumped. Now, here's another thing I'm going to say. I've been giving this a little bit of thought, as you can see. Now, we're talking about Donald Trump lying. He's a big liar. When has America not lied? Talk to the Native American. They know a little bit about negotiating with America. Ask the Native American, will America lie? Will a president lie? Will the Congress lie? You know what I mean? Just start asking some questions. And if you don't get the right answer from the Native American about negotiating with America and seeing what America lie, ask the ex-slave. They got a little bit of story to tell you, too, about America and its lies. Get me wrong, I love this country. I love this country for what it can be and how we can heal it and how we must come together if we truly love this country like everybody jumping up here saying. Remember, the Confederate flag is not on the cars of a policeman in 2017. The Confederate flag is not on the police uniform. It's an American flag. Every time that cop put a bullet in one of our backs, unarmed black men, guess what? That's an American flag he got. So you're fighting over the Confederate flag. You want to go and support the bombing of these people all over the freaking world, but you don't want to take care of the loss of rights of women here in America. Can you think about it now? A woman has no control over her womb and how she wants to make the decision on being a mother or not. The gay community. Look at what's happening to the gay community. All the rights that the LBGT. Somebody help me with the letters here. LBGQ. Thank you, sir. Look at the attack on that community, and look at the attack on women and equal pay. My goodness, what the problem we need to fix here and the breaking away of all of these oversights. Now, water is okay to be poisoned. Your air is okay to be poisoned. Your food now, they can put whatever they want to put in your food and just say, you give it to you for a cheaper price. Let's forget, this wonderful medical system that you have before you had the Obamacare. And, but yet, guess what? We want to go bomb Kim Jong-un, June, or Ying, or Yang, or whomever. We want to just go bomb somebody to take our attention off the hard work that we need here. And I have a wonderful guest here today, and I know I'm ranting a little bit, but that's who I am. I have to get over my shyness. Yeah, whoa, I was kind of born that way. Right? We had a wonderful guest here today, and so we're gonna lighten the load, but we're gonna do a little bit of serious talking here. I think she has a political mindset, but I'm gonna let her make that decision on what she wants to talk about. But I think this is a great time for us to move music into the anxiety of what we are going through, and perhaps help to bridge those of us, if nowhere else but in this country, that seem to be kind of pulling on different sides of the river and pointing fingers at each other and want to throw rocks. Maybe we can use music to help bridge that gap over that troubled water. So I want you to welcome my guest. Now, I told her that I butcher up a name because I'm permitted to tip. I can do that. So this is Aliza. Aliza, welcome to the Larry X is Here show. I want to thank you for coming. And I listen to your music, listen to you, and tell us a little bit about where you're from.
Well, I'm originally from New York, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I grew up there, and eventually I lived in upstate New York in New Paltz for about 10 years before I moved over to the Middle East.
Ah.
And I lived in Jerusalem for about 4 years, in Tel Aviv, and did work over there. I did some peace work with some wonderful people, musicians, and organizations. And then came back here to America. Now I live in Santa Cruz, California.
With my opening ranting in the whole bit, what do you was there anything that I said that you see music? What do you see music fitting in this whole opening monologue that I just gave?
Well, I think music is a fundamental part of life that, it shapes culture, and it's also shaped by culture. And we're living in a very intense and violent culture right now. And I guess humanity has always lived in a violent culture, but I think that, we see that the movements throughout time have always had music connected to it. The civil rights movement and the anti-war movement, the Vietnam era, all these movements had music that were part of the driving force of bringing people together. And I think artists have always resonated with messages of unity, because that's a part of what music does. It brings people together.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Mankind has, as far as we know it, historically has always had conflict and push back and against each other, but throwing stones and bow and arrows, and it was a far cry from dropping a nuclear bomb. Whoa, man! Look how far. Look at the success. Look at the success. And so, how do you see music actually playing out in this? How would let me rephrase that. How would you like to see music playing out in this, in moving forward in this, just in the world?
Well, I've always felt that music was and is one of the most powerful unifying forces. Everyone who's a musician understands that music is a universal language, and it can bring people together. And I think that many artists are afraid to maybe lose their audience if they get too political. So a lot of maybe more celebrity artists are careful not to say things that could be triggering one side of their following, and pandering to another side of their following. I would like to see artists who have influence use that influence to promote positive messages and bring people together and help build bridges instead of break bonds.
You lived in Israel for a couple of years, 4 years, you say? And what did you learn there that maybe you would not have learned had you not moved and lived in Israel for a while?
Great question. So I was very, very lucky and blessed to be part of some music initiatives involving Palestinian and Israeli musicians, also Jordanian, and people from all over the Middle East. And we would gather in Jordan, where we could all get visas to be there and sing together and make music together. And it was such a powerful experience because there was no anger, there was no hatred. There was just this place of we are so desperate to find a way to connect to one another. And this music project was the opportunity to create that, you know. And of course there were political differences between people, but the music acted as the vehicle to create that dialogue. So in all great music, there's tension and release, and it's an emotional process. Creating music is an emotional process. So, you know, we were able to like take those tensions, bring them into the studio, create words and melodies that could heal those rifts, you know, and then when you look around the room at each other, you know, you're not seeing the nationality of the person. You're just seeing your friend with the beautiful voice, or your friend who can play a killer guitar, and you're just trying to figure out the way to make all of those voices work together.
Kind of gel together. When
Yeah.
you say musical project, what do you mean, this musical project?
Well, I was part of a group called Mosaic, which is a play on the word mosaic, obviously.
Mosaic?
Mosaic.
You know, I'm terrible at this stuff, so I'm writing
That's
it
cool.
down.
And it was beautiful. I mean, there was a whole group from all over the Middle East, and when we were working together, you know, you could hear the similarities in the melodies, and also the tonalities and the scales, you know, the modes. And I remember there was one point where there was a Jordanian woman singing a song that was like a old folk song, an old Jordanian folk song.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this Israeli woman that was like, wait, that's the melody from a folk song from our culture. And there was this like light bulb moment where they were like, wait a second, that's the same melody. So where did it really come from? And that's when you start to realize that all of these peoples are related. They've all been around. They're all fighting, you know, they're each other, but essentially they're all family.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. The challenge is to. I'm a few days older than you in life, you know. So, and I think one of the problems is that too many people on the planet let other people tell them who to dislike or not like. And once I demonize someone, if you're my friend, then I don't want you to deal with that person because I have demonized that person. And then I feel betrayed if you don't demonize that person. But if you look at me and say, well, Larry, that person hasn't done anything to me, then I want to go over there. But it's kind of like a peer pressure a scenario here where when you take that from different religious group, pointing finger, and if you belong to this religious group and you don't dislike that religious group, then you're not with us. So it's the pressure of other people pointing out who we should or should not like. And I think that is one of the things that music has been able to come together and say, just because you don't like that person, music comes from a feeling. I don't have to feel that way, and I think that's one of the things that music helps to bridge. Now, who are some of the musicians that you grew up listening to that sparked that creative juice in you?
Well, there were many for sure. I mean, I was very inspired and influenced by the music of the 60s. I taught myself how to play guitar.
In the 60s?
Yeah, well, the music of the 60s. I didn't grow up in the 60s, but that music hit me in a very deep way when I was a teenager. And I found this book, The Great Songs of the 60s, in my parents' basement, and it was a original copy. They don't make them anymore like that. Now they have them in a different kind of binding, but it was an original copy, and I basically taught myself how to play all these songs straight out of that songbook and learned about that era through the process of learning the songs. And I liked what the words were about. I liked this feeling of the music being a vehicle for expressing the difficulties of the time and processing and transforming that energy into a hopeful message. I think that I intuitively and also naturally generated towards that message just because of the way that I am. That's just
Let
who
me
I
ask you
am.
a question now.
So like Bob Dylan, Neil Young.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder.
I heard him
Dylan.
speak the other day, and
Did
he
you?
blew my mind.
Where?
He was the keynote speaker at the ASCAP conference, the Society for...
I know exactly
Composers-
what you're
okay.
talking about, yeah.
Yeah, so he was the keynote, and Janelle Monáe interviewed him, and they had an incredible conversation. And they were talking about this very, very subject. You know, where are the songs now for these times? You know, and he was saying, you know, he actually was an instrumental part of the birth of Martin Luther King Day every year being recognized as a holiday.
He was very instrumental in that.
Yes.
And he dedicated his, and in fact, his KGLH is a very powerhouse in getting and continuing getting these positive messages out there.
Right.
And hey, guys at KGLH, keep up the good work. Hey, tell me your thoughts on the. I'm pretty, you know, I know I can just basically say it, but I like people to speak for themselves. I can't speak for the world, but no, Trump administration cutting funding for the arts. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I just think he's it's just very, like I said, I don't understand what motivates him. You know, what motivates him to do these things? Is he someone who is so against anything that creates beauty in the world? You know, is he so against beauty and creativity and love and freedom? You know, because that's what it seems like.
Well, I think it's amazing the way you made that statement. Kind of made a statement / question, and we may or may not want to realize, but the mere fact of it is, and don't take my word for it. You guys are going to take my word for it anyway, but you're in a fascist world now. This is a fascist government. This is not going to be a fascist government. This is not almost a fascist government. You're a fascist government, and with a libertarian mindset, and what they're trying to do, if they drown it by flooding it with debt and taking away the apparatus to keep the thing going, whether it's art, whether it's healthcare or whatever, then they can privatize it. See, they can make money off of it. And then once they start to privatize things, then you go into like a Mussolini kind of situation. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up, folks. You know, that is where we're headed.
I think it's very clear that that's true, and I don't understand. I always say, like, when you die, you can't take your money with you, right? No one here gets out alive.
No.
You know,
You mean to tell me
no one here gets
I'm not going to get out?
and you can't take it with you. So I just don't get it. I don't get it because my brain doesn't work like that. You know,
when you have a compassionate brain, I mean, you have people, growing up in my country, Mississippi, what's up, Grenada? Don't tell me, some of you guys hit me up saying I didn't mention Grenada enough. I mention Grenada on my show almost every week now. You guys got to start sending me some checks in the mail. But growing up in the South, and I look at things now a little bit different because when we went fishing and we went hunting, it was literally for food. It was to put food on the table. And putting businesses together was basically to put food on the table and pay the rent. But once you get to a point where you got all the food and you got all of this, you got all of the trinkets, then it becomes a game. It becomes a game. There is no emotions and feelings. Those people don't think like we think. You have some wealthy people out there that have some really, really great conscience. They really compassionate. I know quite a few of them. I haven't gotten that big check in the mail yet, but I know quite a few of you guys. But this power hunger and what is the psychology behind? And there's so many different ways. Is he a narcissist? Is he just insane? I don't know. But it's an interesting process of watching people that is that power hungry. and want to be looked upon as a king or as a god. It's just the same old Greek history kind of thing. I'm a god and see me as a god, and I look at a lot of what is happening. So tell me how you got into the music industry, though. I mean, how did you get to this? And you like Bob Dylan, Stevie Wonder, all of these guys, but why did you pick up a guitar?
Well, I grew up in a really messed up environment. There was a lot of fighting.
Tell us a little bit about how that influenced the music. You don't have to get too.
Yeah, well, it did, because I don't know why, but like when I was 9 years old, I just locked myself in my bedroom, and I only had one friend in the whole world at that age, and she lived on the other side of town, and there were no cell phones,
Oh, no.
There were no laptops. Anyway, so I just remember one day, I always loved music, I always loved it. I mean, I sang when I was a kid. My mom said that I would like walk around the house with like a little brush pretending I was a singer.
There you go.
So I guess it was always in me. But when I was 9, I remember sitting in my room, locking myself in my room, and just taking a piece of paper and just started writing a song.
Really? At 9?
At 9.
Wow.
And I was writing about what I was going through and what I was seeing, and I was really writing about breaking the cycle of violence, because I understood that like what was going on in my world was connected to a cycle. And I think that violence in general,
now
people who perpetuate violence,
because
is part of the
we're
cycle.
gonna listen to some of music in a minute, and you what started you to write in political? What made you get political?
I think it's just a natural part of my evolution, as an artist. When I went to college, I learned about Mumia Abu-Jamal and what happened to him and that situation. And I did some research, and I went down to Philly, and I was just really taken by that whole experience. And that was the first time I was politically active. And I started writing a song. And then I got involved with Students for Free Tibet, which I also felt very...
Say that again?
Students for Free Tibet is an organization.
For Free Tibet, okay.
Yeah. I got very involved with Students for Free Tibet. I used to host benefit concerts to raise money for the organization. We would send money down to the New York City, send people down to D.C. to march. And... I don't know, I think I always had this inclination towards wanting a just world, wanting a better world.
Do you balance music with a second career, or that music is your only career?
Well, I've had to be creative because, as you know, musical artists who are not in the top
It's a struggle.
1% are, they got to do many things to make it happen. And so I juggle some things. I do creative work. I teach music.
Really? So you might be able to teach me how to play and read the music. So now you have a song that you wrote in dedication to about Dr. Martin Luther King, right? And I think we have that. Tony, do we have that? We're gonna play a piece of that and give this a good listen, and let's so you can feel her.
Martin Luther King was a preacher man. He fought the system and the Ku Klux Klan. Served his time down in Birmingham. Fighting all his life, he never raised a hand. August 28, 1963, he said, I have a dream for equality, for brotherhood and justice for you and me. This ain't a Jim Crow society. The civil rights movement was a type of revolution. Open up our minds to conscious evolution, so we could pave a way to a common solution. Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King. late Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream. Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream. He said, unity is the great need of the hour. So when we come together, we will surely have the power. Unity is the great need of the hour. So when we come together, we will surely have the power. There's a long road ahead, we got work to do for all oppressed people, Muslim or Jew, rich, poor, black or white. We need to walk a path to light. Coretta Scott King was his foundation, a loving wife who helped her man rock a nation. So we sing in celebration, Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream. Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther, oh, Dr.
Yeah. Girl, come on now. You did all of that? That is really, really nice. I had heard a little bit of it, and I've been a promoter for a long time, but this is my first time hearing the whole song. Because generally, as a promoter, we'll listen at a couple of bars and say, "Oh, that's pretty good" or not. But that is really, really nice.
Thank you.
I mean, that's just like, as a promoter, do you service the black stations across the country with that during the Martin Luther King?
Well, actually, that was sent out to 250 college radio stations, and about 100 stations picked up the disc. So, they're playing it here and there.
Yeah, when we, in the future, when these holidays come back around, 'cause you can do it ahead of the holidays. I got a few people that might be. I know I can put it in a few people's hand out
That'd
there.
be awesome.
Yeah, I know. And look here now. I know some of you radio guys that are watching me here. I'm going to be calling you on this record because this is a good one. So at least, where can they get this?
On my website, eveofedenmusic.com, you can actually download it straight from the homepage. You can listen to it on SoundCloud. There's a video on YouTube.
Kind of speak it out so can they hear her? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check out this. I mean, this young lady got something going on here. How old were you when you knew about Martin? When you was conscious of Dr. King?
I was in the 6th grade, and I had a music teacher who was teaching us about Martin Luther King, and we were being, it was a choir/music class, and the subject was Martin Luther King, and we were going to do a musical performance for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And so we were learning all about him and his life and his work, and at the same time, we were singing songs from that era. And so at 11 years old, I was like, I was very touched. I was very moved by the whole thing. And I loved my music teacher. He was just such a cool guy and very friendly, very genuinely kind person.
Well, you come from a Jewish family.
Mm-hmm.
And there were lots of support from Jewish families involved in the civil rights, as we know, and especially with Dr. Martin Luther King, and being a little Jewish girl growing up. How did the struggle affect you, seeing the struggle, when you became conscious enough to understand that Martin Luther King wasn't. He was a great man, but there was a struggle. How did that impact you?
Well, I think it's something that, as a young person, people underestimate youth and the sensitivity of young people.
Oh yeah,
You
I
know,
like that.
people think that kids don't know or kids don't get it or kids are, not paying attention. And what adults don't realize sometimes, and especially with the youth, my experience personally, but also young people, because I work with young people, is that there's a sensitivity, there's almost like a psychic awareness that kids have that they can't necessarily explain rationally, but they get it. So when you had kids having dreams and premonitions about 9/11, like 6-year-old kids were drawing pictures of towers burning before it even happened. You have a generation, several generations, I think now, of young people who are growing up knowing that something is wrong on this planet. There is something that is off. There is some dark force at play. And, we look to the adults as kids for guidance. But sometimes the parents or the adults or the teachers, they're out to lunch.
Yes.
They're out to lunch. And those kids are left feeling like they have nowhere to go and no one to turn to, which is why a lot of people turn to drugs and violence and, situations that are not healthy for
That's
young
a
people.
very powerful statement that you made, putting that together, because this is very true. The kids pick up on vibrations and energies, and they're like little antennas. They know, but often they just don't have the life experience and story to put it together in words, and then they're left speechless. And oftentimes the only thing they can say is You're asking them what is wrong because they don't know the words. And sad part about it, the adults that they're looking to quite often don't have the words. We don't know how to communicate. We're not even communicating with each other. We're yelling and screaming at each other. But we're communicating, and so then we get to the point where we're upset with kids and people want to text all the time. Well, number one, you can text and email. You can say things that you can't say in person. You can say things with your thumb that the words kind of get in the way because of the emotions that, and people feeling kind of insecure. And so, and what is lost in the translation here, I don't know. But I think that one thing that music kind of helps bridge that. How do you see the young people working together in music now?
Well, there's a young man who is a hip-hop artist. He's Native American, Mexican American, and he's got an organization called the Earth Guardians, and he's going all around the country and all around the world, really starting up these little chapters, using music as the driving force to bring all these young people together. And we're talking kids like 7 to 15 to 18. It's a whole movement of kids, and they're actually suing the federal government for destroying the climate, destroying the planet. They are in the process of doing that. So that's a very powerful and beautiful thing. And like I said, those kids have the understanding that they are the future.
And I think that's a great point because most adults, we think that we are supposed to see the progress of our struggles and our fights in our lifetime. But it's not necessarily for us to see it. It's for the generation to come. And I sadly, in my age group, I think this is the only generation, this is the only adult generation. I want you adult generation to listen to this. This is Uncle Larry speaking now. I'd never heard of a generation of people that has given up on their youth before. And if someone asks me, what is the scariest thing that Uncle Larry see? I'm being Uncle Larry to you out there now. Is that the danger of us giving up on our young people. I hear older people turn their backs on young people because they play the music too loud. They're thrown to the side. I see them because they don't wear their pants or shirts the way we want them to wear. We condemn them. I see too many across the board, black, white, green, yellow, orange, have lumped this generation and said that we do not have a strong generation of young people. I think since the Black Lives Matter, we're kind of seeing a little bit of it starting to change, but secretly when I'm sitting down with your old farts, with your gray hair, I hear too many of you talk about you've given up on these young people because they're not communicating. They're not doing it. Hell, you ain't communicating. And that's one of the things that bother me. I know climate change is an extremely important thing to face. I know that the poisoning of our food and all of this is extremely important. But I think one of the things that we can do to turn around our future, older people like myself, realize that you're not going to live in the freaking future. You're not going to be here to inherit anything in the future. We cannot give up on our young people. We got to believe in them. And many of them don't even think we believe in them because they see it in our face. They see how angry we are when we approach them. We are afraid of our young people. That's one of my greatest fears right there. And I think that once we start to listen to them through their music, because we don't know how to understand. I had someone, I know I'm pontificating just a little bit, but this is very dear to my heart, how I'm afraid to see so many people giving up on the youth. And I heard someone this weekend, 70 years, in the 70s, and said, well, I don't know nothing about the rap. And I said, have you ever heard them? And I sit down and let this older person listen to Tupac rap, Dear Mama. And they sit there and cry because they never even gave it a chance. So, and that's one of the things that I hope that I can start to work on. Now, you was participating in the Standing Rock a little bit?
Yes, I went to Standing Rock with a friend and colleague from the Charter for Compassion, which is an organization that does really powerful work also in schools, anti-bullying work, and in prisons. And
the whole Standing Rock thing is about fresh water for the future. Yeah. I mean, it is for the future. So I think you wrote something on Standing Rock, did you not?
I released a song that I wrote with 3 friends. It's a song called Water to Fire. And
do we have that? You know, we have time. How much time we have, Tony? 7 minutes. How long is this one? Let's do about 3 minutes of this one. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to, because I want people to hear your work and listen to you, because you're a very powerful young lady, and I so appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank
you. And we're bringing music to the show.
The world to us, fed us her milk and gave us her trust. We tore her skin and bled her with desire. Broken within, we turned water to fire. Water to fire. Water to fire. Her land and cut down her trees, poisoned the waters, and spread our disease. Through it all, she begged us to retire. Her voice unheard turned water to fire. Water to fire. choice to make, no turning back, no room for more mistakes. We've heard the call, it's our time to rise. See the truth, wipe the lies from our
I'm a new fan. I just so appreciate your heart, your spirit, and the consciousness that you put in behind your work, and you're making the world a better place. And we have to believe that, even if it's on a molecular level, you're making the world a better place. And I just want to appreciate you coming on the show with us this week, bringing some fun in the house, bringing a little seriousness, but adding some music to the scene here. I think we have about 2 minutes left, 2 minutes left, and this hour go by so fast. It always do, especially when you're having fun, And when we get ready to close down, give us some words of wisdom that you would like to. First of all, give your website again.
Sure, it's eveofedenmusic.com, EVEOFEDEN music.com.
And you can find her on Facebook, YouTube. What are the other?
Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
Just all of the social
Yeah.
media. Just hey, look, I'm kind of old. I feel that you have to name all of this stuff. But hey, come on. But give us some words of wisdom to say goodbye with. Just a short few words of wisdom.
I think that if you're watching the news every day, it's really easy to fall into a state of despair and anxiety. You open the show talking about that. And, it's okay to actually turn off a TV and turn off your phone and take a step back and close your eyes and drop into a place in your heart where you can think about the things that make you happy and the things that bring you joy. And, the television and the phones don't have to own us. We don't have to be slaves to the media. We don't have to be slaves to the TV or the electronics. We can tune out and tune into our own spirit and to a feeling of goodness that we want to bring into the world. So I just want to encourage everybody out there that, if you're getting depressed watching the news, if you're freaking out thinking that World War III is about to happen, just remember that we create our own reality. And even though there may be forces greater than us working on higher levels, never underestimate the power of that still small voice within.
I love that. And thank you, Aliza, right? Aliza. Aliza. See, I can mess it up. Aliza. But anyway, yeah, all joking aside, I like to tell my friends, and some of you, those of you that know this, don't you send me no email. But I tell everybody, sometimes, calm yourself down. Place the weapon on the table. Step 10 paces back. Breathe. You might not even be in a fight. And sometimes when we get caught and we don't have the words to say, oftentimes the words in the English language don't even qualify to explain what we are trying to say. But the one thing that can help bridge that when we don't have the words, when we don't have the phrasing, and sometimes when we don't even have the courage to say it, that's when music can help come in and help us show each other how we feel. Remember, a nation can rise no higher than it elevates its woman. This is Larry Yates. I see you next week.
All right, baby.